George was conducting an important experiment, testing the bounce factor of the living room furniture. This part of the couch made a different sound. That wasn't the couch. It sounded big. It sounded heavy. And it came from up there.
You must have heard our new neighbor walking around. He moved in last week.
What George had heard seemed heavier than footsteps.
What are you doing? George, you must have heard our neighbor walking. That's all it could be. It's not like he's got some wild animal up there.
The man with the yellow hat lived with George, so why couldn't the new neighbor live with an animal? But what kind? Of course, the new neighbor had brought home an elephant. The man with the yellow hat had to hear this.
George? You dreamt about an elephant? Shh. Oh, no more nature books before you go to sleep, George. They're obviously giving you strange dreams. This is better bedtime reading. The Happy Sleepy Monkey. Good night.
This new sound certainly wasn't an elephant walking around. It was an elephant that was doing what?
Oh, boy, I didn't sleep at all last night.
George never realized there were so many sounds in the world. He'd never listened hard enough. That was the balcony to the apartment upstairs, where the new neighbor lived, with his elephant.
George, what are you doing? George, don't spy on our new neighbor, please. How about when I get home, we go up and introduce ourselves like two civilized people? Civilized monkeys. A civilized monkey and his person.
The afternoon was a long time to wait to meet the elephant. A neighbor. Now what was that elephant up to?
What? What's wrong? George, there is no elephant with a chainsaw upstairs.
Actually, an elephant with a chainsaw eating crackers, but George wasn't going to be picky.
I'll be home later. Remember, no bothering the new neighbor who is not an elephant.
The new neighbor wasn't an elephant. He had an elephant. George felt very misunderstood. Why, the elephant must have gone out too. Well, that thing would never fit inside the apartment. Could there be a chainsaw in Mabel's? So many things made similar sounds. How could George figure out what he'd been hearing upstairs? For George to be certain, he had to go right to the source. That sort of sounded like his neighbor, but not really. The man with the yellow hat was right. George hadn't heard an elephant. But then, what had he heard? That was the sound.
So the upstairs neighbor has a Galapagos tortoise that's been wrapping gifts and making juice. George, I'm gonna say this one more time. There is no way...
Yes?
Hi there. We're your downstairs neighbors, and...
Oh, so nice to meet you.
George!
What's he doing?
I think he's looking for your, elephant.
My what?
Oh, we heard some loud sounds. Very loud sounds.
Very loud. Oh, I am so sorry. Sometimes I get carried away working on my art.
Art?
I am an artist. I do murals. I mix my paint here. Then I use these rubber stamps I made. Here's one of my completed works.
Oh, we also heard something like a bag of rocks dropping. Do you use rocks in your work?
No. Oh, that was a bag of groceries. It fell off the counter.
Huh?
What on earth is that? Sounds like an elephant finger painting. Huh? It does.
Summer afternoon. The perfect time for a game of Find the Pigeon.
Okay, George, playtime's over. Time to clean your room. You can play with Compass after you clean your room. Bath time, George. I don't think you'll fit in the bird bath, George. You're definitely a tub monkey. Okay, time to brush your teeth and hit the sack, George.
Even though being a monkey was the greatest thing ever, pigeons didn't have to do what anybody told them.
George, time to clean your room, take a bath, wash your ears, brush your teeth, go to bed, wake up, make yourself breakfast. George!
So the next morning, George made up his mind to live like a pigeon. It turned out that birds had special pecking equipment. Keeping up with pigeons was hard work if you didn't come with wings. Plus, pigeons didn't have to wait for the don't walk light. George had lost his flock. To be a pigeon, you had to fly. Being a cat looked like a lot less work than being a pigeon. Now, this was the life. And no one made Gnocchi clean her room. Plus, cats took a bath wherever they wanted. Whenever they wanted. A cat bath was okay, if you didn't mind a hairy mouth and a spitty face. Maybe being a cat wasn't for George either. Here were lots of animals who didn't have to clean their rooms or brush their teeth. Surely George could find one he could be. Like a chameleon. They could change color effortlessly. Monkeys couldn't. Fish never had to stop playing to take a bath. But George wasn't good enough at holding his breath to be a fish for very long. Turtles got to choose their own bedtimes. They just pull their heads inside. But being a turtle was a pain in the neck.
Hey, George.
If only there was one animal that didn't act so much, well, like an animal. Hunley didn't know why George was still here, so he led him back to the elevator. George never realized that Hunley spent so much of the day playing. This was fun. Only his hands weren't used to being dog paws. George realized he needed a few small changes to be a good dog.
Did you have a nice ride, Dante? I bet you did.
Well, what is this?
Well, Hunley, it looks like we have 2 lobby dogs today. What do you think of that?
Say bye-bye, doggies.
But being Hunley wasn't all fun and games. It helped to be long and low to do this job.
Why, thank you. Look, Dante, Hunley found your ball. Good dog.
George wanted to be a good dog, too, just like his new hero, Hunley.
Hold the elevator.
And here was his chance. But picking up things with your mouth was harder than it looked.
That's a baby, right? Hi, baby. Thank you, that's a dog, right? Thanks, doggy.
Hunley couldn't believe it. Everyone knew dogs were more dignified than that. Being a dog was hard work. Just look what it did to Hunley.
Delivery!
Looks important. We'll get it upstairs right away. Come on, lobby dogs. Uh-oh. Hey, looks like we're stuck. Oh. It's okay, Hunley. We can handle this. I'll sound the alarm. Uh-oh. Oh. There's only one way out. But we need somebody who can monkey up. Say. You've been such a good dog, George. I almost forgot you were a monkey.
George had almost forgotten he was a monkey, too. There were things monkeys could easily do that no one else could.
Hello? I'd like to report a stuck elevator.
Best of all, George didn't even have to think about how to be a monkey. It just came naturally.
A flashlight. Thanks, George. And a bottle of water. And cushions. And a radio.
And sometimes a monkey was just the thing to be.
George! You did it! Thanks, George!
Even Hundley thought George was pretty amazing. He might even make a good dog someday. But George didn't want to be a dog anymore. All he wanted was to take a bath, brush his teeth, and go to bed in his nice, clean room.